What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel today for another review. Terrell and I are ready to jump into the review finally of the film Monkey Man, which is available now. Yeah, we saw this a couple of weeks ago and a little late to the review, as you can see, but we definitely wanted to talk about it because I had thoughts about it. I'm sure you had thoughts about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's only fair. I mean, if you know the history with this film definitely was a long time coming until it got to its release on April 5th by Universal Pictures. It did have its world premiere South by Southwest this year. But, you know, this film had been filmed a minute ago. It took one, it had its challenges with the pandemic. And there's like a lot when it comes down to like the issues and the challenges that this production had in terms of getting this film done. And it is written and directed by Dev Patel. And Dev has done Line and Slumdog Millionaire, so like, you know, definitely some notable projects here. And then, you know, to add to that, it's produced by Jordan Peele, which I'm just going to keep it 100. Jordan Peele credit is nothing but them being friends, because there is absolutely no touch of Jordan Peele's aesthetic on this. Unless, because I did not really keep up with like the remaining news and challenges with this film, unless Jordan was a part of the effort in terms of saving this film. Because yeah, this film definitely had its challenges with the pandemic, where production had to be stopped, to ultimately a lot of money being lost because of them having to basically pack up and go to another location. Like it went through a lot. I highly suggest, if you care that much about the film, do a deep dive and see all I'm talking about, or just go out and support it, because, you know, Dev does a lot. And I said directed and written, but he also produces, he also stars. I mean, he's wearing all the hats in terms of making this film come to life here. Because yeah, he is your lead, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But for what it's worth, I'm going to say right now that I was okay with this film. I know there was a lot of folks super hype. I mean, like the instant reactions, people were like, this is the best film they've ever seen. People going as far as saying this is the Indian John Wick. And, you know, if you're going to do an action film, why not borrow stuff from one of the best action franchises out there? But it's not no John Wick. In fact, if I could interject here in people's own thoughts, at moments where this film could have went full tilt, it went easy. You know, it could have went pedal to the metal, hit the NOS, and been a 10-second car. But there was times where you could say it coasted across the finish line. Because yeah, the film is brutal at times, but there's also a hell of a lot of implied brutality, which I'm like, how are you just going to show somebody get their head smashed 2 scenes ago, and then the next scene you're like, oh, we're not going to show this. We'll just show you the blood splatter, you know? And to me, that's where you're just not John Wick, because John Wick gives you everything. You're getting the most practical action and stunts, but you're getting all of the action. You're not missing anything. They're not hiding anything. They're not ducking any wreck. They're not ducking any bit of brutality that's involved. This film did. It took shortcuts at times that I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I don't like that decision, especially when they gave us some really epic moments. So much like John Wick, you're like, where's the next moment? You start to get a little hyper fixated on these moments, and the fact that like you got a good moment, and then it's like, oh, that is going to duck that one, like for real, like, you know, that's kind of how I felt. We'll get into what all the film's about, but that was truly my reaction coming out of this film, is that like, I know people gave this high praise and start throwing it amongst the elites. It's not there for me. It's not.
I mean, again, another movie I didn't, no trailer, no nothing. I had no history of the backstory or anything that was going on with this movie. I did see the Jordan Peele tag, and instantly my brain went into, oh, this is going to be a horror flick. You know what I mean? Like, just off, just
or
looking
something
at
like really deep.
right, looking at the posters, like the shadowy figures, like stuff like that. I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be another, think piece. But the movie, like you said, the movie, funny enough, makes a reference to John Wick in the movie, but it's not John Wick. I was expecting a superhero movie from this. I was expecting superpowers with a little bit of kung fu mixed in it, and not at all what I was getting. When I see Monkey Man, I'm thinking he's running around the mask. He's gonna be this vigilante. Like I said, again, no trailer, so I had no idea what I was going to do.
Extendo pole, like you
Right.
knew, yeah. America. If you seen American Born Chinese on Disney Plus, that's probably the latest iteration of like what you're talking about here. Is like he thought he was going to get inherited some folklore.
Right.
He was going to become the next. Yeah, continue. I'll be back next.
The story from the beginning, like just because they go into the whole story of the monkey man, and the some of the stuff that would hint at him getting like abilities or powers or something like that. So that's where my brain was like the entire movie. Like I'm like, oh, okay, it's gonna be a scene where he's like XYZ or something like that. And like I said, no spoilers, so nobody hasn't seen it, but I definitely think that me having that narrative in my head kind of ruined a little bit of the movie for me personally, because I wanted it to be a certain thing and it wasn't. Yeah. And like you said, I haven't heard any of the conversation about anybody talking about this was like, A tier or anything like that. I thought it was just okay. Like I was like, oh, okay. I walked out of there, was just like, all right, that's going on the shelf. This is not something that I personally would want to watch again or buy like Blu-ray or whatever. No disrespect to the movie, didn't say it was good, but it was more of a political piece than it was anything. Like
it didn't leave that overlying impression on you to say,
right,
I need to reinvest into this,
Right. But I wasn't coming out the movie theater like, oh yeah, Monkey Man, yeah, go see it on Friday. No, I gave it no second thoughts after I walked out that theater, other than like, oh, okay. So, but yeah, like I said, it wasn't terrible. It just was not what I was expecting. Beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful.
I don't know if I said this, but like I was thinking about opening up this. It's like Monkey Man, it came and it went.
Right.
That was it. And I did quickly research that Jordan Peele basically came on board to help get this movie purchased or acquired from Netflix. To Universal from Netflix for about $10 million. Oh, wow. So his name, his connections was a part of helping his buddy get this film on the map. So can't be mad at that. But listen, let me talk about what this is about, because truly this is a very, very simple but yet interesting plot. You have Bobby, or Monkey Man, or just the kid, who essentially is a revenge story. Because this is a person who basically has been struggling his entire life. He's been on his own. He's trying to make ends meet. He is a cage fighter, and that's how he makes money. But also, this is a form of self-punishment because of a tragic event in his past that had to deal with the death of his mother, and he has not been able to build the courage to avenge her. So that's the whole journey. And there's a lot of other different things that happen, but at the very minimum, that's the condensed version of what this story is. As you got this person who is just trying to build up enough courage to avenge his mother, but also magically inherits the legend of the Monkey Man, which just does not come with any powers. This is basically nothing but a sense of spiritual guidance, I would say, for him to get back out there and avenge his mother. But what is really cool about the film is that it really does highlight a lot of important things. One, the culture. So you get a big glimpse of the Indian culture, both
Yes.
music, aesthetic, just the cities, the food. They check all the boxes there. And then it also dives into some political things, as you mentioned as well too. So like corruption becomes a big part of that. Discrimination, obviously tackling on poverty, and they even do have conversations about the transgender community, which I thought they handled that in a masterful way. I
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed the introduction to some transgender characters in there, and yes, they come in and they kick ass, and I know that is going to upset some folks, but fuck them. I'm here for it. But on that note, though, this film does check a lot of boxes that will be problematic in certain distributions, in certain demographics, and or communities, and or in nations, and that's their problems. That's the reason why I'm here to say I had to do the review, because the film still does need to be supported. Whether I was high on this film or not, the film got done. It's a good film. It's not a great film for me, but it's definitely a film worth watching, and it definitely is the film that the type of films I want to continue to see. The films that are tackling we're getting diversity on the screen, and inclusion, and the film for everybody. So like, I appreciate that as we start to see more brown and black people, people of color in filmmaking. So like, I'm absolutely going to support that, and I don't care how late we are. I wanted to make sure that we got a chance to get in here and talk about that. But listen, the film does excel in hilarious dialogue. It also has some good hip-hop music, and when it is brutal, and it is absolutely jaw-dropping moments. I just hated how they pulled off the gas at times where they could have completely stayed full tilt in it. But I had some issues with other things too, because there was like how the film was chopped up. It wasn't completely, there wasn't a lot of continuity between the different phases of the film. Like the first part of the film, brutal. The second part of the film, they dove so much into the culture, you might have thought you were watching another film, because it was a complete change of pace. And then the third act, it's like, oh, okay, nonstop action. Let's get it, you know? So it's like, first action, the first phase, you was like introduced to the legend, the hour of his life, the transformation into the ending, and the whole revenge aspect of it. And like, they dove so heavy into the lore of this legend and the education behind it that you were just like, all right, the Hanuman, who's basically the monkey man, it's just like, all right, got it, cool. Oh, you still got more to talk about? Oh, okay, cool. Oh, wait, how long is this going? And it's the whole second act. So I don't know, man. That's just my thought, is that like, when you have this sort of just dark, gritty films with the glimpses into the culture, but yet establishing sort of this anti-hero based on the folklore / legend.
Right.
You gotta iron out this editing a lot better, so that the story completely flows and it doesn't feel like chops or like very distinct chapters, as if like, all right, I watch one, I'll pick up the next tomorrow, I'll pick up the next after that. This thing was just, it felt like 3 separate parts, very distinctively. So, and the villain was trash, by the way.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I was definitely disappointed with that. I definitely agree with what you were saying, like about it feeling like a different movie each part. Because like I said, I mean, the one like the first part of the movie felt like it was a not like a heist movie, but like a hit, like almost like an assassin type thing. You know, that first whatever way he's like trying to get in and do XYZ, and then like you said, we have the part where we're showcasing the, you know, the culture, the streets, where it felt like, you know, everybody that was in this movie almost had a cameo. But you know, we got to see the nitty gritty of the street life of like what was going on, you know, from prostitution to drugs to everything. So they wanted us to see a little bit more of like what exactly was going on with the influence and the police and stuff like that, and some of the big people that were overlooking a lot of the smaller folks, you know, that were I don't want to say unseen, but like hidden, the people that were overlooked. So that was pretty much like the middle layer of it, like just highlighting the overlooked people in the movie and the role they play in this society. And then we get into the part where I was a little whatever about where we had the whole montage where I was like, oh, okay, cool. We got the montage, but we're gonna get some, some abilities or XYZ. And it was no point in this movie that I believed from my perspective that he was going to be able to do this. Like there was
Heck
never
no.
it's just I was just like, all right, okay, we had the scene with the punching bag, but I never believed at any point that he was going to be able to take on this task alone. It was ridiculous. First of all, I mean, they've already sold me on the fact that he sucks as a fighter, and at the beginning of the movie, he could take a beating, yes. I mean, but he's not a good fighter. So why would I believe that he's going to be able to take on this impossible journey in this one man army film? That's where it lost me, because even when we got to that part, I was just like, yeah, like you said, it takes his foot off the gas. I feel like they could have done more. It could have been better. I just was expecting a lot more, and I'm not saying the fights were really well done.
Yeah, good point.
But it just, I don't know. I just was not feeling I was not believing the character itself that he was able to do this. And I think that's what was taking me out of it.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I really just got to say, like, I want to make sure this is very clear that everyone understands. This is a movie that made you understand that he is not good at fighting for a solid hour. He got his ass beat for a solid hour. And then when he goes to this spiritual journey where you're just like, oh, this may be the change that may make him be able to overcome everything, get back out there and do what he has to do. He inherited no abilities, just confidence. And then all of a sudden, he's just a man. I got to tell you how it was the most disappointing character hero arc I have ever seen.
No super soldier serum. They literally talk about, and again, this is not a spoiler. They talk about the lore of like you said, the Hanuman, the monkey, and they almost kind of hint at him almost being like a I don't know, what's not a reincarnation, but
that's a good
this descendant of him.
Descendant.
Like why are they drumming this so hard? And then again, that was another part of the movie I was just like, no payoff to that whatsoever. I don't know. I guess they had some LSD or some. I don't know what they were doing in that one part of the movie. I was like, okay, we're about to have a Doctor Strange moment. He's about to awaken, and he's about to truly become the Monkey Man. No, I never. So yeah, I believe it there. But yeah,
I mean, the film's out, so I don't want to spoil anything. But the last thing I want to say to that, because you're triggering so many thoughts of mine here, is that this is a man that was in cage fights and street fights and religiously lost badly. He goes into a form of isolation and spiritual journey, and he's just sparring or training with somebody that, I mean, sparring, but no real competitors that are out to actually kill him. And all of a sudden, he just becomes the most legit fighter after that. It's not convincing at all. It is just completely unbelievable in that. And I'm not saying he had to have superpowers or abilities, but understanding that you're building up this whole legend. And even if he was just going to be, like, as you said, a descendant, then at least show him build his fighting abilities convincingly. And they didn't do that. They really didn't. They were just like, oh yeah, he trained here for about a week, so he's about out here ready to go.
Playing Donkey Konga for a week, learning the shadow box, whatever. I'm like, and everybody's just like, you're ready. No, he is not. This what? Okay, whatever. But yeah,
it's problematic. Last thing I wanted to say on that note, besides, again, the villain was just complete waste, just not good, just nothing about it. You are right. The fight choreography was definitely super solid. They definitely get their kudos for that. And if you are going to see this film, you absolutely want to keep your eyes glued for this knife to throat scene. Is all I'm going to say. There's some things in this film that I have not seen in films, even in foreign films, ever. So this film definitely had a moment with a knife. It's after he got his abilities in the club and he had the knife and he was like him versus everybody before all of the other folks came in, backed him up. But the knife to the throat was definitely like okay. And if they had kept that tone, man, I'd be talking about this film a lot different. But nonetheless,
I
Monkey
think
Bad. Go ahead.
the like you said, the build up to the final boss, and I mean to say it like the final boss was completely such a letdown. That was just I'm expected like they literally do like the whole video game floor to floor level. They get to the final boss and he's just like,
Yeah.
it's just like all right, but yeah, it just let me down. But yeah, that was it.
That being said, folks, go out and support Monkey Man. This has been our review for it here at Big Old Belt Media. Jump in the comments, let us know your thoughts about this one. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon. Thank you for watching.
Retribution.